Now, the last 3 days, I've been watching all of you. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a people watcher. I love body language. I love interaction, seeing how people interact with each other, how they interact with themselves, how they care of themselves when nobody's looking. And in that same amount of time, I've been thinking, what value can I add to this stage? As Keith said, a human project, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But my entire mission in life is to add value. So as I pondered and I thought, last night, after that silly little country music concert, the security was really lax in here at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was able to sit right here and imagine all of you and got to think, you were all clothed, so it's all right, no worries. And to imagine and think, what value could I give this audience? We've had some sensational speakers, from Gary Vaynerchuk to Mel to Chris, all of these speakers, all of this content, all of these formulas, these frameworks. But I believe it starts with one thing. And as I've been watching so many of you, and as I've been watching the world, and as Keith said, going knees to knees with so many different types of individuals, there's one thing that stops everybody, and it's uncertainty. It's not feeling like you are worth what the world can give you. And some of you in this room are pretending. Some of you in this room are trying to, what I call, peacock each other. Some of you in this room came here with intentions of increasing your income or finding somebody to help spread your message. While there may not be anything wrong with that, the mindset and the intent is creating these barriers and these walls. And what it really comes down to is you're uncertain. We've had a lot of amazing questions for the Q&As. We've had some individuals even break down emotionally. We've had some of the speakers call individuals out. And it's because when you stand on a stage, you care. And I care immensely about human beings. And I can honestly tell you, 10 years ago, I didn't. I understand how it feels to feel unworthy, or your content is not valuable, or your worth is placed in an object or a thing, or your worth is placed in what somebody else views about you. So many of you on social media are posting pictures with speakers, you're posting pictures with other people, and I watch you and you're checking the likes and you're seeing who's commenting while speakers are speaking about life-changing things. Why? Seems silly to me. Some great content. It's because you're looking for validation of who you are, and that's getting in your way. It's getting in your way of creating content. It's getting in your way of creating a daily video. It's getting in your way of writing a blog. It's getting in your way of sharing your story. And all of this information, everything that you've gathered here in the last 3 days, as fantastic as it is, if you do not get out of your own way, it's not going to help. And I understand it. I get it. When I was 1 year old, I was abandoned by my biological father. When I was 6.5, I was abandoned by my biological mother. I felt worthless from the moment I came out of the womb. At 7.5, the doctors told me that I was a broken vessel, that my life would be best spent in a boys' home, medicated, drugged, and hopefully I wouldn't come out the other end as somebody who was going to go into society and be dysfunctional. From the ages of 7 to 17, I was abused verbally and physically every day of my life by a man who thought it was okay to take control of a small little boy. Not really much bigger than this, actually. I've been this size since 9th grade. Stupid medications. I was supposed to be like 6'4". That's really how tall I see myself, and then I stand next to like David. That guy's huge. You get on a pogo stick to talk to him. But my entire life I've been told I'm worthless, whether by actions or even unconsciously by individuals in my life. So I get how it feels. I spent my entire teenage existence and my young adult life trying to create wealth, trying to create something that would validate me as a human being. And when I hit 6 figures, it was this great feeling for about an hour. And then when I hit 7 figures, it was this great feeling for an hour and a half. And when my businesses were going to 8 figures, it was a great feeling for 45 minutes. Went the opposite direction. My relationships with human beings were centered around profitability. My relationship with my loved ones was centered around profitability. Because I was trying so desperately to create worth and value in my life. And it wasn't until 10 years ago, when my little girl was born, that my perspective started changing. And I went on this mission, personally, to figure out how to be a better human. And going through that, I started creating frameworks. I started creating things where it was helping me. I started dealing with some of the stuff. I started owning some of my own issues. And it led me down this path where I got to start working with other individuals. Not so much on the how to brand your business, market your business, but on how, again, to be a human and create worth. And 3 years ago, I met a little girl, and her name was Alexandra. I had no idea how this one girl would change my life forever. The day that I met Alexandra, she had just been released from the hospital for an attempted suicide. I was sitting in a circle with her and about 10 other people, and she was telling her story. She was telling her story of how the world had beaten her down. And while your story may not be as dark as mine, and her story may not have been as dark as mine, the outcome was still the same. She didn't have worth. She didn't feel that she was worth anything in life. So why live? And for 45 minutes, she poured her heart into my hands. And she told me about her alcoholic father. She told me about going home from school every single day and cutting so she could feel alive. I asked her simple questions, and she couldn't answer them. Questions like, what's your favorite color? She couldn't tell me. What do you want to be? Well, I can't be what I want to be, so it's not worth even having a dream. And for 45 minutes, I was able to share with her the framework that I have created to give a chance, a hope. Maybe it would work for someone else. And what happened next, still to this day, chokes me up. I gave Alexandra my cell phone and said, if you ever want to talk, if you do these steps that I've outlined for you, let me know. And I literally thought, I'll never hear from Alexandra again. I felt amazing. I felt like, wow, this is insane. I have finally found what I am born to do. About an hour after I left the school, I started getting text messages from Alexandra. Wes, I just talked to my mom. I shared some feelings. I haven't talked to her in 4 years. It was amazing. Wes, I went on a walk. Wes, I saw a tree, and inside of the tree was a bird's nest. And Wes, when I looked up at the bird's nest, I looked and I saw blue. My favorite color, Wes, is blue. At this point, I'm overwhelmed. I'm so excited. Just in a few hours, with a few simple steps, she was able to start to see again. She would start to feel again. The next 17 text messages I could not be prepared for. Alexandra started texting me. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and she started texting a detailed plan of how that day she was going to kill herself. And that our conversation had changed her mind. And that by her taking action, she started to feel just a little bit better. And then she wrote, Wes, you saved my life. Now, I cry in about every movie, including Finding Nemo and Rudy. So when this happened, I hit the ground and I bawled like a baby. Jody's in the kitchen. I'm like laying in the hallway going into the kitchen, and she's, "What is wrong with you?" And as I was kneeling on the floor, sobbing, the words, "You saved my life," rattled back and forth in my head. And I was taken back to a memory years before on my journey of becoming a human, where I was woken up in the middle of the night to write these words: "I am proof that it's all okay. I am here to live another day. I am me. I am human." And as those words and the words, "You saved my life," rattled around, I realized I did not save her life. I was simply proof that she could see the hope, the power, that if somebody else could go through something horrific and come out on the other side, maybe she could too. And it was in that moment that I stood up, I looked at Jody, I will never forget, and I said, "If not now, then when? If I'm not going to do something with this, with finally finding what I was born to do on this planet, if I'm not going to do something with it, then when am I?" Now, for those of you that do know me or have spent some time with me, I don't like to do anything kind of like, itty-bitty, or in my words, half-ass. Sorry about that for my children. But I don't. And so I spent 3 days locked in the garage office mapping out a plan, mapping out what I call world domination. How are we going to create something that could go global? How are we going to create something that can be expanded, something that isn't just based around my story, but can be leveraged from that into so many different areas? And now, I get to step back and see that over the time that we put together that plan and implement it into the world, 65,000 youth's lives have been directly impacted. We have reached 14 countries. And I myself personally have spent 210,000 minutes, hours, that'd be a long time, I'm not that old, minutes going knees to knees with children across this country. And we are now building a program and a system that can scale past me, scale past my story, and leverage so many other people on this planet that have a story, that have gifts, that have talents. And these youth get to soak it all up, and they get to soak it up for free. And it's accessible to them no matter where they are in the world. We are on a mission to create a worldwide community of empowered youth. And by being able to share my story and take the stage with individuals like Gary and Keith and Chris, we get to impact so many lives. And as I thought, what is the one piece of value that I can give this audience after all this amazing content that's already been shared? You've got to get out of your own way. Your worth is not dependent on how much money you make. People told me when I left my entrepreneurial traditional side and started a human project that I was crazy. I was going to starve. No one was going to support, like nonprofits. You don't make money in nonprofits. My response, they don't make money in nonprofits. We're going to. We're going to create a new breed of a nonprofit. We're going to make true impact in the world. One voice can change the world. And if I go all the way back into my story, it was one person that believed in me. When no one else did, one person believed in me. And that one person empowered me to be standing here today. So if you think that it's more important to worry about your own self-image or the way things look, because if you don't have 10,000 views on your YouTube video, or if you don't have 150 likes on your Instagram picture after you posted at 2 o'clock in the morning, that your message is not valuable, that's on you. We forget that 1 is greater than 0. You have a day and a half left to stop peacocking, to stop worrying about what your self-image looks like, to stop worrying about how you're going to up this or up that with somebody's conversation, and start building your human framework, your story. I can't add anything more than what these speakers have talked about. It's going to be redundant and boring. I'd bore myself. The theme of this there's the underlying theme from Gary telling it his way, Chris telling it his way, Mel telling it his way, Keith telling it his way. It's do it. But what stops you from doing it is your own insecurities, your own value of your worth. I don't reach every single person I talk to. My bride is terrified every time I open my mouth because I'm not afraid of drama. She loves to be loved by everyone. I'm okay if you don't like me. But she reaches people that I could never reach. And she has a voice. My son, my daughter. You. Yes, I see you, my son. Oh, that sounded really biblical. I see you, my son. I'm going to have to use that line. But here you are. You have a day and a half left, and you are surrounded by amazing people. And you're the ones that are still here. Make something with this time. Be vulnerable. Share who you are. Realize your voice matters. Create a video tonight. Don't wait till when you leave. If you want to start losing weight, start doing jumping jacks. Now. Don't wait until Tuesday, because by Tuesday, I guarantee you're going to be like, oh, yeah, but I have 40 emails I have to reply to. Create now. You have a choice. You can either be you and accept who you are, or you can still maintain uncertainty and be at the next conference, the next convention, the next event, wondering why you haven't made any progress. The choice is yours. Thank you.